right. Okay. Yes, my name is Neil Oler. Really quick, I grabbed some logos. So I did electrical engineering at BYU, and then promptly, clearly didn't figure out how to run my slides. Let's try this, and then wait for it. Someone tell me if I'm on the right thing. We'll see if that behaves a little bit better. Yeah. Okay, so I guess what's funny is like I put all these up here, and I was laughing to myself today as I was in the shower thinking about, you know, giving a presentation and being nervous about it, and then I was like feeling the shape of my skull and being like, do I have a misshapen skull? Right? And it was just like this weird, like, dude, you need to calm down. This is too much. So, I'm tickled that I was put at 9:45, and I'm happy and very intimidated to look up last year I was at 4:15, and yeah, there were like 5 friends and 1 person who was like, I should have left. So I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate people being there last year. I know that the title for this talk, right? Like it's a little like touchy-feely. I feel like our industry gets a lot of technical focus, but we don't get as much as I feel we need in the people skills, right? The human skills. It is important to me, and the reason why I highlight those companies is that I've been at fancy companies, I've been fancy places, and yet I have seen how I and others contributed to not technical failings being why like things were rough when they were rough, but human failings, right? Like interpersonal failings. Yeah, as fellow community builders, right? I want you to come with me on this journey here. So yes, it's a bit clickbaity, but I wanted to, and I'm glad Greg went here first. I enlisted the power of Jasper AI to find me some examples of Gordon Ramsay style pull request comments. Right, you're all a bunch of idiots. I tried to do his accent, and yeah, it's not happening. Who couldn't code their way out of a paper bag, right? The code is so bad, it's like you just threw it together in a couple hours, which like, I'm like, do you even code, Jasper? Like, that's exactly what we do. Do you even know what an algorithm is, right? Like, your code is so terrible, I'm honestly surprised it even works at all, which, I mean, it should work before you make a pull request. You're all a bunch of incompetent hacks who couldn't write a decent program if your lives depended on it, right? We all know, right, if I were to like, and I won't, but like if we were to like, raise your hand if you think this is toxic behavior, right? Like I'm pretty sure we could get most people agreeing like, that's a sucky way to talk to other human beings, right? But what do we do, right? And like, here's a pro tip, right? If you're treated this way, right, maybe you're sitting next to the person who treats you that way. I hope not, but like, run, right? Like that's, you don't have to put up with this baloney. We live in a great place. We have a great market for developers. Come talk to me. I'd love to talk to you. And if I can't find you a place, we will find someone to find you a place, right? But no one likes to be treated this way, but most of us aren't like this, right? Like I don't know many people really think like, let's fight at work. That's fun, right? But we still don't love pull requests, right? A lot of the pull request type of stuff kind of comes off in this like meme-y kind of way, right? Of like, you realize, yeah, I'd like to get better at pull requests. Somehow I will. And then like, yeah, organizational, like, yeah, we do better, right? This is what I'm talking about when I say our industry. We all recognize that we'd like to get better here. And please don't think that I am some expert coming down from the mount with like fresh tips on how to be perfect. I ain't got them, but I want to explore this topic. All right, so let's start with kind of a fresh approach, right? Of the like, let's start with why. If you are familiar with Simon Sinek, he definitely is big on the starting with why. Right, like quality of code is generally what we think of when we think of pull requests, and I mean, I hope this doesn't cause half of you to leave, but we won't be covering how to actually do a pull request like from like the terminal or something. I'll leave that up to you to Google. I Googled last night, the internet still has it. But, right, like improvement of skill, it's like, okay, we're getting there. But the building of relationships part, right? Like that's still the part where you're going, what? Like, what are you talking about, right? I want to submit to you to suggest that a effective pull request demonstrates established respect, right? Rapport that you've already built with the person you're interacting with. And then it can further build by constructively debating, right? So this is on the left here, the guy smiling with his finger out, pointing out, I believe that's like black belt first class. That's a recent thing he got. This is a buddy of mine named Vicente. I found this on Vicente when you watch this. This is a publicly available Instagram photo, so, you know, I don't know I cleared with him. But he is super into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He is on our team down in Brazil, and I got a chance to go down there recently and hang out with him more. But I've spent the past year of work getting to know him. And as we talked more about his hobby of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it occurred to me that this is an excellent analogy for the kind of work environment that I think we can all get, and two, that is really helpful for us to grow inside of. And I want to cover these three things, right? Like, don't use illegal moves. What kind of sparring partner are you, and strategies, right? So the first one here, and funny enough, I first had this titled No Illegal Moves, and my buddy pointed out last night that was the only place I used the negative on the slide. And so if you read it that way, you'd go, there are no illegal moves. So go ahead and pull hair, use punches, kicks, right? Like, yeah, so that's not what I'm saying. There's no good way to take a drink without the pause. So this was the thing that kind of kicked off like this idea of like a gym or a dojo, right? So in jiu-jitsu, and we can like see here, right? I'll show you some pictures later on of like other people engaged in jiu-jitsu. For the lay person like me, it all looks like human beings tangled in Mortal Kombat, right? Like I have a hard time telling you the finer points of the legal and illegal moves. There is like a giant graph that goes down here that talks about the illegal moves, right? That unless you have a black belt, you're not supposed to use this move, and it kind of has this gradation. It's complex, but like pulling hair, punches, kicking, right? Like shoving your finger in their nose to, I don't know, like, rip at their nose or something. Like, this is like, no, we're not going to do that, period. That is an illegal move. This is insulting personal attacks, right? This is the kind of behavior that I'm saying, like, if this is something you frequently deal with, let's find you a new place to spar, right? A PR is not a commentary on someone's raw intelligence, personal life choices, or values as a person, right? Or value as a person, right? This is meant to be something that we're discussing code. But you might be thinking, okay, well, yeah, duh. Of course, we're discussing code here, right? I point this out because, right, the next thing that I think of is, what kind of sparring partner are you, right? And this was the photo that made me laugh because, right, again, locked in Mortal Kombat, but clearly the dude is giving me the thumbs up, right? He's going, hey, this is fun, right? This is actually pretty cool to stop and think about what this indicates, right? He is not in mortal danger. He is certainly in an athletic competition. He is sparring. He's trying to win. The other person is trying to win as well, but they are not in danger. They are able to, even in the midst of this grappling, still take a moment and pause for a picture, right? If you're in some like I don't know, barroom brawl or alleyway fight with somebody, you're not pausing for the photo op, right? You are fighting for your life. So once we have established that your gym, right, your workplace is a place where you're not going to make personal attacks, you're not going to come after the person, you're simply saying, yeah, I think this code can be better, right? I have a problem with this code. This code is, I don't know, has some code smells, right? We got lots of euphemisms for it, but what we're really talking about is what kind of sparring partner do you want to be? You're really looking to challenge yourself and thus challenge others, right? Something that Vicente pointed out was that he pointed out that sometimes you'll see people in the gym that they'll be, they've done jujitsu for a couple years and they'll want to spar with the guys and gals who have been doing it for like 2 weeks, right? Like, yeah, totally beat you, right? They're dunking on the kids, right? And it's funny that he pointed out that like, you're not going to grow. You'll feel cool for, a time or two and be like, yeah, I'm such a powerhouse. But then after a while, you get complacent. And then if you actually go on to spar with somebody who is more at your level, you're probably going to have your butt kicked, right? The idea is that you still want to spar with new people, right? Because then they have an opportunity to see what more experience can bring them. But you want to challenge yourself as well. You want to be the kind of sparring partner that occasionally you win and occasionally you lose, right? This attitude of I am either winning or I am learning. I love this meme, by the way. This always cracks me up. The oops, all whatever. And that's some fine Photoshop. Well, GIMP, right? Because I'm too cheap. But I also want to point out here, because I've only worked in Utah, so I can't speak to like all the world. But it seems like in Utah, we have a bit of a penchant for passive aggression, right? Yeah, you're laughing because you know it's somewhat true. Sometimes we think that opposition is contention, right? That if we are going to push back on something, that we have to be fighting, right? That there's either like we're just holding hands, singing the campfire songs, and everything's just going like butter smooth, or I hate these people, we're mortal enemies, this is just never gonna work out, right? I have thought this before. As the consummate recovering doormat of society, I am definitely the person who runs away from conflict every chance I possibly can. Realizing this distinction, right, that being assertive, being like oppositional is not contention, right, is not fighting. And again, this is why we start out with the like no illegal moves. Once you understand that the person who is saying your code is unacceptable is not saying, and what I really mean by that is you yourself are a piece of garbage, right? You've stepped away from that. You're going, wait, I know this person is a sparring partner at the gym here. He or she is giving us the pushback, right? So that I don't just walk into the gym and think, I'm the world's greatest jiu-jitsu player, right? I'm the best athlete here. How would you know that unless you have some pushback, right? So the goal is constructively pushing back, right? So not using illegal moves and like, oops, all approvals, right? So like, this doesn't mean that like you should just approve everything. That's not the message. All right, so this is the part where I want to definitely kind of share some strategies that I've observed. And I want to take another drink of water. Of all the slides to pause on, this is the funniest one. I also worried for a second here that we were going to turn out the lights, and I was like, oh no. The theme I picked is like stark white. The theme I picked, let's be honest, there's no theme, right? Like I emailed like a couple people going like, hey, do we have like an official, slide deck? And they're like, no, you can use whatever you want. I'm like, that's not the answer. I was hoping to get like, please use this one. Yeah, anyhow. it was just funny, like, no, I've got analysis paralysis, right? I sat there and stared at my screen for like, how do I make it look beautiful? So the first one, this is actually Justin McMurray, which now I'm worried I misspelled his name. I might have misspelled his name. I promise I love him just the same. Feedback levels, right? At Travel Pass, we have grown the front-end team from me to about like 12 to 15 people, right? Designers, a couple product people, and front-end engineers. And in that time of growth, it has been interesting to see how even between people that are pretty agreeable and pretty eager to help others around them, there still exists an amount of just like natural, like interpersonal entropy, if you will, right? And I'm thinking of like two individuals, but this really was bigger than that, right? That I just kind of said, hey, well, we're growing, do pull requests. Okay, see ya, right? And what I observed was that the two individuals I'm thinking of, one was going, well, I don't really like people going through my code like super fine tooth comb, because that feels like really critical. So when I give feedback on PR, it's just kind of like, I don't know, you know, it looks like code. I don't see any like major, like, you haven't used like, you know, like the F word somewhere in your test, you know, script or something, and like, okay, looks like code, right? Then the other person involved in this paradigm was going like, no, I want like the most granular feedback. Like if we could go line by line, and I could be confident that this person has like critiqued my code line by line, that would make me feel really good, right? It was hilarious looking back on this, like, what did you think was going to happen, Neil? Like, this is like watching the trains coming at each other and be like, they'll probably go around each other. I mean, this will be fine, right? No. Though I realized a little too late, we just basically sat down, and at the time it was just like the three of us on the front end team. We've kept up with this of just saying, when you have feedback, just put a note next to it and say, hey, this is just a nit, right? This is like, you don't have to change anything. This is not going to hold up your pull requests, but this is just so you know, this is a little thing you could do, right? And then a medium like, I don't know if I agree with this. This looks weird to me, but I'm willing to have my mind changed here. Help me understand what you're thinking, why you did it this way. And then large and serious, right? Like I can't let this go to production. This is crazy, right? Most of the time, the like large serious stuff, people generally don't have a problem with that, right? The like, oh, I thought I could submit like non-functional code and just shove it to production is generally not something that, even if, I mean, we've all felt that way, let's be honest, but none of us really expects to like get away with that, right? So when we have our wrist slapped in that way, we're going, yeah, okay, I won't push the super buggy code. It's the difference between the small and medium, right? That when you're going, I just want to give you some feedback that like is a FYI versus other things. Second point here, there's Jonathan Haidt, a psychologist of the 20th century, pointed out that when it comes to emotions and logic, right, our sides of our brains, that the emotional side is the elephant, and then the logical side of our brains is like the rider, or the, I keep wanting to say driver of an elephant. That's weird. Something that I found to describe it, the rider of the elephant looks like he or she is in charge, but when there's disagreement between the elephant and the rider, the elephant usually wins. So when we are coming at people and presenting evidence of like, well, here's where you're wrong, and we are detecting some emotional response, don't double down on the logic, right? The elephant's going to the right, and you're going, hey, rider, like hit the elephant with that tiny worthless little switch and see if like the elephant's gonna like, oh, thank you, I'll just go over here. Never gonna happen. I thought this was an excellent analogy, right? But then what do we do when we hit that point? This is an excellent book that I'm pretty sure everyone in my office is tired of me evangelizing. I'm still going to do it because it's that good. this book is also hilarious because it talks about like all sorts of like hot topics, right? Like everything from like gun control to drug reform and everything. It doesn't make moral stances on it. It's simply pointing out these are topics people fight about. We are going to be able to have conversations even about the scary topics by engaging in the right kind of strategies, such as we need to view the other person, especially in the pull request world, but in relationships in general, as a conversation partner. We are both engaged, we are on the same side, we are trying to understand more about each other and understand more about the world around us. When we feel like we are sensing that like, ooh, this is getting emotional, right? Blood pressure's rising. That is the time to pause and to ask questions, to get curious, right? How did you come to understand it that way? I don't know that I see it that way, but I'm willing to change my mind. If you can just explain how you came to understand that perspective, that truth, that idea. I'm not great at recognizing the opportunities, but when I have, this is like almost like a Jedi mind trick level hilarity, like ease of use for me, and like dramatically different outcome of the conversation. Right? People go, oh, well, thanks for asking. I really appreciate you being willing to hear me. I'll take it. All right. So I'm out of time here, and I just want to say, no matter what your experience has been, we can do this. It's easy to just kind of attend these talks and think, yeah, I'll get to it. Please take something that occurred to you today and go forward with it. Do it today. Do it next week, this week. Do it soon. You can do it. You can benefit from this in a way that will be amazing for you. So I'm Oler. I enjoy where I work, Travel Pass Group, and find me on Utah.js and Instagram at Oler. There you go. Thank you. Appreciate it.